Bonjour. Je suis désolée, je ne parle pas monégasque, donc je vais parler en anglais. Okay, that's it. I am truly very honored to be here to talk with you today about how smart data can empower you as retailers. And I'm very excited that I can do it in English. I'll try and speak slowly so you can understand me. So I'm going to cover a lot of material, and I want to start by stressing two really important things. The first is that the volume of data that is being generated is absolutely exploding. I'm going to give you some facts and figures around this, but just keep that in mind. And I really believe that we are just at the beginning of a transformation. So why would you think, given how far we've come with technology, that we're really just at the beginning of a transformation? Well, first of all, it's because most people in the world are actually not yet connected to the internet. According to the UN, there are more than 4 billion people, about 60% of the world population, that don't have regular, consistent connectivity to the internet. And in less developed countries in the world, it's only 1 in 10 people that have connectivity. So there's so much headroom that's yet to come. Secondly, things are absolutely accelerating. It's not enough that we just have this volume, but it's accelerating. I'm going to show you a visual, and I don't know if any of you know what the figures in the circles represent. Does anybody have any guesses what they might be? Years. The number of years that it took 1 billion people to adopt that technology. And what you can see, starting back from the radio up through smartphones, is that the adoption rate is accelerating dramatically. It shows the rate of adoption increasing, and the smartphone is the fastest adoption of any technology ever. Currently, smartphones are outselling personal computers 4 to 1. And I don't know if many of you remember when personal computers came around, but it was earth-changing, and that's now been left in the dust. And in addition, technology is changing our lives in unprecedented ways. There have been more significant changes in technology in the past 5 years than there have been in the previous 20 years. Smartphones are now the most ubiquitous and responsive platforms ever. There are 2 billion people that use smartphones. And consider this, in 2009, there were 250 million. So just to put that in perspective, just 8 years ago, we had 8 times less people, or flipped around, we have 8 times more people now using smartphones than we did 8 years ago, which is absolutely astounding from an adoption and acceleration standpoint. And the connectivity of other devices is also exploding. At the end of 2015, end of last year, there were nearly 5 billion connected devices, and that was up 30% from the prior year. So you get the idea about this explosion and this acceleration. Like nearly everything is coming with a connected version of it, frying pans and apparel. And then of course the more complex products like home appliances and thermostats and such. And these devices and their connectivity is creating huge and increasing amounts of data. So consider this, and this is truly astounding. I know that there's a word for this measurement, but I don't know what it is. We'll have to get back to you on that. But between 2013 and 2014, we generated, as humankind, 500 times more data than in all of the previous years of our existence. Let me say that again, 500 times more data between 2013 and 2014 than in all of humankind. And this data really never sleeps. For example, think about what happens in an internet minute today. There's about 400 hours of video that's uploaded to YouTube. There are about 1,400 Uber rides that are requested and fulfilled. There are 50,000 mobile apps that are downloaded, almost 2.5 million Google searches that are done, 140 million emails that are sent and received. That's just a few of in a minute, and every minute it's happening. And these moments, they create data that provide insights about who we are, where we've been, what we're interested in, and just all kinds of information about the world around us. And it's data that can help you as retailers deduce what we're likely to buy soon. We think that this revolution is above all a revolution in the customer journey. Let me give you a little perspective on how I see the retail landscape. I've been working in the retail industry for more years than I'm going to share with you. We've been tracking what's been happening in the US, and these trends are very similar in France. In the holiday period, so November and December is what we consider the holiday period in the US, from 2010 to 2015, foot traffic to stores, to the physical stores, decreased by 60%. In 5 years, foot traffic decreased by 60%. But during that same time, store sales increased by 17%. So how can that be? That seems to be a paradox. Well, what's happened is that the shopping journey has changed. More of the shopping is actually happening outside of the stores. The researching, the comparisons, looking for different versions and what works best. So much of that is being done online. In France, 50% of store sales are digitally influenced. And it's higher in the US, it's up to 70%. And just 5 years ago, only 5% of US store sales were digitally influenced. So again, an example of this absolutely amazing increase and acceleration of the influence of digital information. So when I think about this, I really think that if you don't win at digital, you're not gonna win at retail. It's now inherently a part of what the journey is. And so this all underscores the importance of embracing the transformation to face this shopper revolution that's happening every day, every minute, and everywhere. So when we think about this, mobile is really at the heart of it. And I know that we've all been talking about the year of mobile, we're past the year of mobile. Mobile just is now. In France, there are 36 million smartphone users. And just this past holiday, there were another 3 million smartphones that were sold. That's astounding. It's not that your customer has changed, they just have more power. They've become almost omniscient with the smartphone in their hands at any time of the day. And it's kind of like they have a sixth sense, and it's completely changed the way that they shop and consume. And mobile is bringing about a huge amount of new signals that can be captured, resulting in both online and offline data to leverage. So part of retailers' transformation really is based on the ability to capture the signals from this fragmented customer path that can be analyzed and transformed into insights that can be capitalized in a future date. And so really, I hope you understand that all of this underscores the fact that mobile is truly the game changer right now. And I have 3 reasons to underscore why I think that this is true. The first change is really, we don't go online anymore. We just live online. So when you think about it, every day, billions of people around the world, they're living out their lives across multiple screens, multiple devices, just fulfilling many of their needs and wants online. There's not really any such thing as like an online session anymore. Do you remember the days when we used to log on and do something and then log off? The only time I log off now is when I have to clear my cache every few weeks. There's just this constant ongoing session that I have. And what this creates is kind of, we used to have empty spaces in our day, and we don't really have those anymore. Think about your own usage of a mobile device and this connectivity. Standing in line, waiting for a bus, maybe waiting for your kid's music lesson to be done. Right now, most of you are probably connected and tweeting about this great conversation, right? And so it really has changed the dynamic of what it all means. The second reason why I believe mobile is such a game changer is that online use is now more and more fragmented. We've really moved from like defined sessions to just moments. We used to go on and like log in, have this session, and now we just grab moments of time, like for a minute at most. That's about the average amount of time that a mobile session happens. And we have been thinking about what these short opportunities are that consumers engage and we can engage with consumers back. And we call these moments or micro moments. So let's face it, consumers now reflexively, and I shouldn't just say consumers, all of us, we reflexively turn to our phones throughout the day, 150 times a day on average. which is very amazing. And because of that, about 10,000 mobile moments are created every month. The third change, in terms of underscoring this mobile as the game changer, is that the time spent with digital is absolutely booming and is being driven by mobile. So consider this. These are US figures, but the exact same trends are happening here in France or in Monaco. In 2015, 5.5 hours a day is spent on digital by consumers, and that's an increase of 2 hours when compared to 2011. And the growth is almost exclusively coming from mobile, so it's incremental to the time that's been spent. And when you compare that, when you compare digital time with other media, it is the only area that's growing, and it is now number one in terms of time spent with media by consumers, which is quite astounding. So let me talk about 3 figures that really underscore all of this. So besides the fact that 50 and 20 equal 70, each of these represents a pretty significant fact. So let me start with 50%. More than half of searches that are done on Google are now done on mobile phones. And that's globally. In some countries, it is more than half. Some of the larger countries, US, Australia, India, et cetera. And France is on track for that mobile moment to happen, where more searches come from mobile devices than they do from desktop. In addition, over 50% of video time that's spent on YouTube is also done on mobile devices. So as a result, we should really stop talking about mobile internet versus like the other internet. It's just all the internet. It's kind of like you don't talk about color TV and black and white TV anymore. It's all TV. So we should all go forward just talking about the internet because that's what it is. The next figure, 20%. Black Friday, last holiday, which is the day after Thanksgiving, and has formerly been known as the largest shopping day in the US, over 20% of online sales were done on mobile phones. And when you add tablets to that figure, it goes up to 36%. In France, E-commerce, which is inclusive of smartphones as well as desktop, represents about 10% of total e-commerce, but for the leading sites, it's double that. It's over 20%, and it's increasing, just like it is in the US. And finally, 70%. 70% of Alibaba's Singles Day sales, and I'll explain what Singles Day is if you don't know in a moment, 70% of sales on that day happened on mobile phones. So as a little bit of background, Singles Day is not an ancient Chinese holiday. It's a man-made promotional day that was actually developed like an anti-Valentine's Day to celebrate singles. It has now become one of the biggest promotional days in e-commerce anywhere. $14.5 billion in sales was done this past Singles Day. It's held on November 11th. Think about that date, 1111. Very clever. And that e-commerce day is bigger than Black Friday, and it's bigger than Cyber Monday. And it continues to grow. So to consider that 70% of the sales have come on mobile, you get the idea about the game-changing nature. So this explosion of data that has resulted from the revolution in the customer journey means that retailers have to adapt to a more fragmented and mobile-led consumer path. And it's not easy, but it can be done. Mobile is dramatically increasing the opportunity for consumers to engage anytime and anywhere. And as a consequence, the journey isn't linear anymore, but it's very complex and fragmented. The good news is that these micro moments can be captured by signals, and the collected data that can then be analyzed and capitalized on for future interaction with consumers. So when we think about this, mobile really enables you to better identify your customers. You can use the audience signals to gain insights about age and gender, interests, time spent on your site, the frequency of visits that happen on your site, and they can be utilized to drive more personalized, seamless, and customer-centric shopping experiences and marketing efforts. So when you think about using your data, think about what you know about the consumer. Who are they? What's their life stage? What have they bought in the past? What are their preferences and interests? And where are they in the purchase path? All of these things can help enable you as retailers to deliver more targeted content and marketing messages. And also data from past purchases and customer profiles can be leveraged to provide more relevant product suggestions or promotional offers or more personalized service. So how do we leverage the identification of customers and target and engage with them? Well, mobile, of course, is really the key. It enables retailers to engage with customers with the right message, in the right place, at the right time, in a very efficient way. So when you think about putting all those things together, that's really where we think about how machines can help us do all of this. And of course, it's done in a way, the data capture is done anonymously, so privacy is respected. And I think that that's really critical as we think about incorporating and utilizing data as we move forward. In a mobile-driven world, the challenge really is about finding the right moments when people are open to engaging and even they're seeking the influence of brands and retailers. These kinds of moments when we turn to our devices to act on something that we want or we need. Think about, I want to be inspired, or I want to do something, or I want to go somewhere, or I want to buy something. These micro moments are based on a mix of 3 types of signals, and they are intent, context, and immediacy. And as consumers, we expect you to understand what we're trying to do, which is our intent. We expect you to understand the situation that we're in, which is our context, and we expect you to meet our needs immediately. So how can these signals that are turned into smart data enable retailers to develop a seamless experience for the customers when it matters? I'm going to outline 3 strategies to be able to do this. The first one is to be relevant so that you can match your customer's intent. Leverage the signals of identity and intent and capitalize on the demand that's being generated. What products are being searched? What type of content is being viewed? What do consumers want to know about a category or a product or a service or a brand? And then match that content and the messages to the level of intent. So even people who aren't actively looking for answers, you can delight them by serving content and messaging that's relevant to what you know about them based on data that you've gathered. So think about using your data and these intent signals to segment the customer journey and ensure that your marketing assets are deployed at the right consumer at the right time. And you can also identify where there are gaps or new opportunistic areas where you can develop new assets and relevant content that's available for those consumers at all the right moments. I'm going to give you an example of a retailer, the Home Depot, which is a bricolage retailer in the US, and they have a mission to help do-it-yourselfers with home maintenance and home repair projects that they can do on their own. So the marketers at the Home Depot were really ahead of the curve when they figured out several years ago that consumers turned to digital video to learn how to do things. How do I tile a bathroom floor? How do I build an outdoor fire pit? How do I fix a toilet? That's actually a very high-ranking do-it-yourself video. And they're right, just in the past couple of months, over 100 million hours of how-to video has been viewed on YouTube. It's the number 2 type of content that's viewed behind entertainment. And that's really how the Home Depot found their sweet spot in this I want to do kind of moment. To be more useful in these moments, they launched a video series to help consumers get things done around the house, and they built out a better marketing content strategy by creating a how-to collection on their YouTube channel. Today, the collection has hundreds of videos, with the top 10 all having more than a million views each, and the total collection has over 43 million views already, which is pretty amazing. The second strategy is really about being present in the customer's context. With mobile, marketers are now able to add a rich understanding of context to the intent of the consumer. It's not just about who I am and what I want, which is my identity and my intent, but where I am and when do I want the brand or the retailer to be present to answer my questions. Because the same search can have quite different intents and context given the situation. The data that we have from searches at Google show us that a growing number of the searches are related to location. As a matter of fact, 30% of all of the mobile searches that we get are related to location. So when we think about this, people who type in some kind of service or product or restaurant with near me in the search, that has been growing dramatically. It's up 2.5 times what it was just a year ago. And just a few months ago, it was only up 2 times. So it's accelerating in addition to having huge volume. And the local context doesn't just refer to the search in and of itself. It refers to the actual places where people are at that very moment. And so you should consider where your customers are when you might be trying to reach them, and how you can adjust your strategy to be even more relevant and useful to them in those contexts. So when you think about using your data in this way, think about it in terms of how you would target consumers based on their geography, their proximity to your stores, the time of day, the keywords that they're using as they're searching for things, and target them while they're on the go. You can alert them with promotions when a product has been wish listed and they're near a store that you have, and surface it to them so that they know that you're connecting with them in a very relevant contextual way. So an example of this is the UK retailer Argos. So this is a company that started in the 70s, and their business model, if you're not familiar with it, is that consumers go into the store. They have a very small display selection that has some of the goods shown. Most of the products are just in a catalog at the store. So the consumers browse the catalog, and then they order the item, and then it's brought out from the back room. So it was fairly recently that Argos realized we really need to change our strategy, and we need to build digital into it, very specifically mobile, and they needed to incorporate that in. So the first thing that they did was they put their product catalog and their inventory online. And then they implemented what are called local inventory ads on mobile that allows them to connect with consumers that are near their store locations and drive them to store. That's the specific intent of these types of digital ads. So for example, if someone needs kitchen pans, now I know it's a little obscure that a man with a messenger bag on a bike might need kitchen pans, but forgive the visual. He could see that this product is available through this ad, order it online, and then on the way home from work, pick it up and be done. So the results of Argos's change with this digitally led strategy has been fairly remarkable. The year that they implemented this, mobile commerce grew by 38%, and it continues to grow. That was in 2014. And now nearly half of the company's total sales come from online shoppers. That's quite remarkable. And the third strategy is really about ensuring immediacy and being fast. Customers expect you to meet their needs almost in real time. Like once you know about them, they want you there. The shorter sessions that they're having on mobile phones particularly are leading to faster decisions. And again, the mobile sessions are lasting on average about a minute. And so they're getting a lot done in these very short moments. So how can you make sure that as a retailer you can provide them with fast, relevant answers to be there very quickly in the right time? Well, think about using your data by having these intent and context signals to enable you to be there just in time. You need the right tools and you need the right assets to be able to work in real time and be fast enough to meet your customer needs and their wants. So you need to think about your data management platform. Is it set up in a way that you can access and manage the data in a way that can be utilized very quickly and appropriately? Your site, is the design user-friendly? Do the pages load quickly? You gotta think about the impatience that consumers have these days. One of my favorite examples of a company that's really done an amazing job with this is the Red Roof Inn. This is a hotel chain. I don't know if they're in Europe, but they're very big in the US. The brand won the micro moments by taking into account the intent, the context, and the immediacy, as we just talked about. So consider this. The company realized that flight cancellations were causing about 90,000 passengers a day to be stranded. And so what they did was they developed a way to track flight delays in real time, and then they triggered targeted search ads for the Red Roof Inn near the airports. So in essence, these ads said something like, stranded at the airport, come and stay with us tonight. And they identified and committed to these moments. So think about this. It's one of those, oh my gosh, I need a hotel right now moment. And you've probably had those in the past if you're a traveler like I am. And Red Roof Inn was able to deliver in an immediate time frame with relevance on what they needed. The results were amazing. A remarkable 60% increase in bookings across non-branded search queries that were done for Red Roof Inn. 60% increase. It's quite astounding. Another example, but in a very different kind of context about immediacy, is Walmart, the very large global retailer. They're a great example of how they looked at immediacy in terms of the user experience on their mobile site. So back in 2014, if you went to walmart.com on your mobile device, it took 7.2 seconds for the page to load. Now, I don't know how many people actually waited that long. A lot of people didn't. There's a huge bounce rate. And they realized what a huge issue this was and what a huge opportunity it would be if they were to improve it. So they really focused on this, and they shaved over 4 seconds off the load time by considering a lot of things and really addressing this in a very focused way. They reduced JavaScript blocking, they reduced the number of custom fonts that took a long time to load, unoptimized image files, many things that were just keeping the page from loading. So they went from 7.2 second load time to 2.9. And the results are absolutely amazing. For every second that they improved the page speed, loading time, they saw conversions increase by up to 2%. That's for every second, so times 4. That's remarkable, and it's really a key way to think about the understanding of what immediacy can mean to consumers. So in a nutshell, these digital micro moments are really key to understand and identify in order to activate sales. So to emphasize this last point, I want to share a few results from our latest omnichannel study that Google did jointly with the French retailer Petit Bateau. Out of 100 Petit Bateau customers that are purchasing in store, 44 have visited the website prior to that purchase. And the online to store impact is even greater when the basket value is higher or the item cost and the consideration is higher. The online to offline conversion rate is 6 times greater than the online only conversion rate. So think about how you're valuing your efforts and the true impact that it's having overall on all channel sales. And mobile has a significant impact on these omni-channel efforts. Mobile users have a conversion rate that's 11% higher than the average store shopper, and the average basket value of mobile to store purchases is 8% greater than store-only purchases. So I threw out a lot of figures there. This is a brand new study that we just finished, and we're going to be going into more details on this in a workshop this afternoon. So if you're interested, we hope you will join us to learn more about this. So needless to say, Petit Bateau and Google really believe that encouraging customers during those very important moments really brings huge value to the retail chain. It's very important to understand, I've talked a lot about marketing and the use of data on the marketing part of the business. But this data revolution is not just about marketing. It's impacting the complete value chain of retailers and other industries as well, and it's creating new opportunities to improve the business model. Consumers want retailers to work for them. The power has really shifted. They want personalized, smart, seamless shopping experiences, and data is really the best way to deliver that. In fact, 9 in 10 consumers would rather buy from a company that best predicts their intent based on what they know about them and suggests products intuitively. I think that's a really important thing to know. That's from a research study that we had done. So let's take a look at a few examples of retailers who are really putting their data to work on their offers, category management, and pricing. And I have a few of these. So Nordstrom, I don't know if many of you are familiar with this more upscale apparel retailer in the US. Their marketing team tracks Pinterest pins, and they identify trending products and then use that social data to put those popular products and aggregate it in displays that they have in their stores. So to demonstrate this, I actually got this outfit at Nordstrom a couple weeks ago, and it was from one of the displays that had been put together from the Pinterest trends. So I hope you think that I'm very trendy. Trench coats are very in. But a really, really creative and omni-channel way to use data to enhance the customer experience. Another example is Zara, and you probably are all familiar with this fast fashion retailer. They can design, produce, and deliver a new garment and have it on display in a store in 15 days. So think about that. From concept to product in store in 15 days. And the Spanish retailer Mango is also following a similar kind of model. And with their spring collection 2016, they're going to be able to have products in store and online within 2 weeks. That's an amazing immediate use of data to translate into business impact. And the third example is Amazon, and I actually have 2 examples within Amazon. First of all, from a pricing perspective, this is fairly astounding. Amazon changes their prices 2.5 million times a day. And it's not willy-nilly. It's based on what they know about consumers, the competitive landscape, what else is happening, 2.5 million times a day. In comparison, the very large retailers, Walmart and Best Buy, change their prices about 50,000 times a month, which is still really good. But when you consider at what exponential level Amazon is doing this, they're clearly using their data in a very different, sophisticated way. And when I consider personalization, I really think Amazon is kind of in a league of their own. 1 in 3 of Amazon's sales is done from those suggested items that's at the bottom of your homepage. So based on your personal interaction with Amazon, and they make those suggested purchase items to be purchased, 33% of their sales come from that. And that wouldn't be happening if they weren't suggesting very, very relevant items. So consumer expectations have also had a huge impact on supply chain and on IT systems. Consumers expect really quick delivery now that everyone, or nearly everyone, gives 2 to 3 day free shipping. And now there are lots of experimentations with next day shipping and even same day shipping. And consumers also expect the product availability to be coordinated between online and offline channels. So an example of a company, CVS, which is an American pharmacy, they're taking their data and really bridging that omni-channel experience. They allow consumers to filter the SKUs on the website based on whether those items are available in the store that's near the consumer. So this sophisticated type of navigation, it ensures that a consumer who's pre-shopping before doing an in-store visit, or they're planning to fulfill via click and collect, that they're just sorting through those items that are actually available in the store. There are several other retailers that are doing this as well, but that's a great use of data in the context of what that consumer might be experiencing. And then we also need to consider sales and service. So when we talk about sales, often what comes to mind is immediately is the physical sale in the physical store. And that's important because 90% of sales or the transactions actually still happen in the stores. And it's going to remain very high, but the digital influence is also going to continue to increase. So far, digital usage and digital display in stores often related to like showrooming and comparisons or web in store or web to store. And in France, a lot of these things are really just in test. Some of the things might be a little gimmicky, but when we think about the future and the genuine digital revolution for stores, it's going to be based on those signals and the data to deliver that seamless customer experience to shoppers. So think about what consumers think about. How and where can I have access to the product that I want that's in the correct size, in the correct color, in the correct place? What do other people think about this item that I bought? Can I get some input based on reviews? How do I use this product, or how do I put it together? If the product isn't available here, can I book it in another store, or can I have it shipped to my home or work? And then how would I follow up with the delivery if I decide to do that? These are all kinds of things that consumers are thinking and asking right now. Let me give you an example of a company that is really doing some amazing things, personalizing the service that they offer, and it's L'Oreal. They actually sell through other retailers. They are starting to do a bit of e-commerce themselves. But what they've done is they've created a personalized mobile app that's called the Makeup Genius, and it's being used by millions of women, maybe men too, around the globe. What it does is when you take a picture of yourself, 64 different data points about your face, the contours, the coloring, the tone, those are all taken into account, and customized recommendations for different styles of makeup and different types of makeup are surfaced to you on the screen. And then they actually allow you to buy the product right there from the app, or they can direct you to a store. I think about this and what an amazing demonstration of service that's completely personalized for the consumer. It's quite amazing. As Jack Welch, the former CEO of GE, once said, there are really only two sources of competitive advantage: the ability to learn about our customers faster than competitors can, and the ability to turn that learning into action faster than the competition. Well, I really think that Jack Welch had this right as it relates to data usage and the opportunity that we have with that. Competitive advantage is achieved not only by learning more about the customer, but by being able to activate on that and doing it more quickly than competitors do. Organizations that are able to drive convergence, become customer obsessed, leverage data and technology, and employ programmatic solutions to build personal relationships at scale, those are the retailers that are building themselves an opportunity to win. So what do you need to do to take advantage of this revolution that's right at our feet? Well, first of all, I have to remind you that data are not smart by default. It's the use of the data and the insights that they reveal that make it smart. So in this world where customers expect to be known and understood, are we focused on truly understanding the customer and their context? Are we taking advantage of all of those moments when customers provide us with information? And are we doing something with that information that we get? Is our organization aligned? Marketing and technology, inventory planning, merchandising, are we all aligned to use the data to make us smarter, faster, and more personalized for that consumer journey? Making the smart use of data is really a matter of organization. Building cross-functional teams that are focused on consumer needs is absolutely critical. And marketing is increasingly technology-based, and mastering big data is key to achieving the competitive advantage that we talked about. Aligning marketing and technology in the organization is absolutely critical now. So how do you do that? Well, it starts with the right people, finding the best people. Consider finding marketing specialists with a good understanding of technology, and vice versa, the IT specialist who has a good understanding of consumers and a sense of what marketing does within the value chain. And also, with these right people, you also need to build the bridges within the organization so that the silos are broken down. Silos just simply don't work anymore. In this new revolution, an omni-channel structure is truly critical. Making smart use of data is also a matter of mindset. Customer centricity is really about being available in very authentic ways at all the micro moments that matter in discovering what and where the customers want to buy. And it's a pragmatic approach as well that we have to take. It's about understanding that the way to a perfectly customer-centric company is very complex. And going step by step really isn't an option. You have to do that to nail it and get it right. So what can you do today to start in this way? Map out your customer's intent and their contexts, and then walk through the experiences that you provide to them, just like they would. So try navigating your content online wherever your customers are looking at it. So on your site, if you have a YouTube channel, on your Facebook page, whatever that might be, how would a customer experience what you're putting out there? And then also navigate your content the way your customers do it. Look at it on mobile phones, look at it on tablets. What is the experience like, and consider online to offline, and if there's an alignment between those channels. Simulate what that experience is like for consumers. Macy's, which is a very large department store in the US, has really been focusing on this for several years. This is one of our big clients that my team works with, and they've undergone a series of reorganizations, which is great. It's difficult at the same time, but each one that they do gets them closer and closer in alignment, as well as setting this mindset in order to be able to deliver truly customer-centric experiences. If you keep those separations in silos and you don't have that common thought, you're not going to be able to achieve this. Making smart use of data is also a matter of data strategy. And the three main questions that you should be asking yourself, if you haven't already, is number one, what are your key data sources today? Are they all identified and are people familiar with them? Or are there silos of data that people don't know about within the company? Second, what links do you have built between them to make them accessible and useful for everyone? Bridges so that you're able to get to one source of truth. And finally, think about who should have access to the data. Are you living with past paradigms that suggest that certain groups shouldn't have access to certain data? Clearly, from a privacy perspective and from a security perspective, you may not want all data available to everyone, but you need to rethink in this common customer-centric mindset environment that you're trying to create, are the right people in the right place to be able to use the data to build that great customer experience. And finally, making a smart use of data is also a matter of the right equipment and the right tools. And there are three main challenges with this. Number one, collecting relevant data to qualify the intention and the context and the personality of consumers. And you should really start with the first-party data that you have. It's yours, it's proprietary, and it's an advantage because your competitors don't have it. It's your proprietary first-party data. After you get that nailed, start adding in second and third-party data. But first, sort out what you have. The second challenge is analyzing these large sets of data in real time so that you can measure across the whole customer journey, not just at the point of transaction. As we've been talking about, shopping is no longer linear. It's very complex and fragmented. And being able to analyze what's happening all along that crazy path is really, really important. And then finally, leveraging the data to dynamically target across media formats, really via programmatic solutions, and offer consumers a more personalized experience. In other words, this means leveraging the increasing volume of data to understand the audience signals, derive insight, and activate in real time, programmatically, to build personal relationships at scale. Think about letting machines doing the heavy lifting and let your efforts be around the creativity and the uniqueness of your brand equity to continue building your business. So I've talked about a lot of stuff this morning. And when I think about what we really want you to go away with, there are three top priorities that we'd like to work with you on to make sure that you master and win your customers' moments. The first is to capture signals all along the shopping journey across channels and devices to transform them into smart data by using the right tools, the data management platform to compute the data, the right talents of the people that you have on staff and that you contract with, and the right mindset to address the digital challenges and opportunities. The second thing is to develop the right assets, especially in mobile, to be present during all the moments that matter. And finally, rethink the way you make decisions, the way you buy media with programmatic solutions, and make sure that you invest the right amount of euros to get to the right customer to optimize for profitability with the right value attribution. This isn't just a digital exercise, it's across all channels, both digital and physical. Together, we're really at the beginning of what I hope you believe now is the beginning of an amazing journey into the future of micro moments that is driven by mobile usage. At Google, we're really excited to partner with all of you to help you become the best and most successful retailers of the future. And we look forward to working with you and walking with you on this journey together. And I want to thank you very much for your time and attention this morning.